Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. We have some more updates on the APET or the APET 2 if we're being accurate. So the APET 1 model had a few issues. It was a development machine, that was to be expected. One of the things we changed quite early on was the monitor, specifically the LCD panel, so that was all changed now. But one of the other things I wanted to change was the expansion options of the APET 1. I fought for a long time in my mind with myself not to make the APET expandable, as the original Commodore PET wasn't particularly expandable. It was a self-contained all-in-one machine, and that's kind of what I wanted to go for. But I've now relented and I've decided to go and embrace expansion. So what does that mean? Well, as you can see from the case in front of this is a pre-production case. It's not, the folding isn't finished yet, this part isn't folded, but this is just a little throw together just to see if things actually fit. So what have we done? Well, we've put a 3.5 inch expansion bay there. There's a 5.25 inch expansion bay there. What that means is they can be used for USB or floppy drives or whatever. They bolt or fasten up from the bottom. It will have big feet on it, so screws being on the bottom is not an issue. The 5.25 inch drive is the same. It bolts up from the bottom. So it's a standard PC form factor, drive base settings, whichever year that was, whatever settings they are, that's what these are. So if you have a standard drive, the standard drive will fit in whatever configuration you like. So this could be USB, it could be switches, knobs and buttons, it could be a floppy drive, could be a Gotek, could be whatever you want it to be. This drive can have a drive bay adapter to have another 3.25 inch drive. It can have CD, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever it is that you like, you can put it in there. The lid will lift up as before, there will be no difference there. There are a few little differences. The distance there has grown to allow for extra material to be added here for the drive bays, because the drives or the drive bays were about the same height as the original case, so that wouldn't work. You would end up with a cancellation type effect or a very weak strip of thin metal there. So the case has grown slightly taller, but not much that you'd notice. So this means that this is actually grown in width, which does tie in with what Commodore did, bizarrely, as they went for a thin bezel, then they had a thick bezel, then eventually they had the SK, which had drives in there and all that sort of stuff. I won't be doing any of that, it's far too complicated. So we have a lifting up case. What else have we done? Well, let's have a look around the back. So around the back of the unit, you can see we have the standard, in this version, PC configuration. We have the ATX opening, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 PCI expansions with a little return folded on here, which you might be able to see, which has got the holes pre-drilled or pre-cut for PCI expansion cards. This is just a fitting hole. The case itself, we've done away with the piano hinge at the back, which Commodore used. Piano hinges are the bane of my life. I hate them. They're cheap and cheerful, and they don't work very well. They're okay on pianos, or you have to source very thick hinges, and they're horrible. So we've done away with them. Mark, my designer, has decided to incorporate the pivot mechanism in the edge of this housing, and it will pivot through there somewhere. So this case should be slightly higher, and it will pivot, missing the expansion cards, and it will open up just as before, whatever degrees that was. So there we are, that's where we're at the moment. So the rear panel here is the same as before. This can be swapped out for an Amiga 1200, which we've designed, and an Amiga 500 as before. Also, there will be as I said, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slot type, and there will also be I think a 3 or 4 bay with the ATX power pack there, which means that this will have a blank on top, so your own monitor can sit on there rather than using my large housing for a 15.6 IPS screen. The IPS screens that I've chosen, I'm experimenting with them now, but at the moment we have ultra high definition IPS screen, which gives beautiful colors and works really well. That's a lovely deep glossy screen. It's very pretty. I'm also looking at 4K screens, so if people want, 4K screens, they can go that route. So that will be about the options that we have. So there will be this expansion type, and there will be a 3 or 4 bay with an ATX power pack there. Amiga 500, Amiga 1200. It's essentially the same, but the ports are slightly different. What else? That's about it, really. So with a PC type, ATX type, MATX, whatever you want to call it, rear panel like this, it means that the mister can be fitted in there and can be bolted into this pre-drilled selection of holes that's in here. Stephen Jones offers a nice kit from Checkmate, which is a back panel that bolts in there, and this will allow various connections and cables and wires and things that will allow you to drive a mister. So I will set one of those up in the future going forward, once this is all fabricated, cleaned up and painted, which will be a month or two ahead. But this is just a little update to show where we are, and in the coming week I will hope to have this tidied up, welded up, cleaned up and possibly bolted together as a functioning system. It won't be painted for a number of weeks yet, I'm under no illusion, and we're quickly approaching holidays, so whether I actually have time to paint it or not before the holidays is something else. I do have an APET 1 which will be going on sale shortly. I know I've been saying that for the last couple of weeks, but that will be going on sale, and that will be the last APET 1 before we move to the APET 2 configuration. So that's it from me. I'll see you in the next video.